Well, alright everyone, DSP here, and welcome! It is finally that time when we reminisce and think back about all of the great game releases for the year of 2014. It's time for me to count down my personal top 10 picks of games that I absolutely loved and was quite disappointed when they finally came to an end. Now, it's important to note that in the year of 2014, I had a difficult time narrowing this down to just 10, so we're actually going to have several honorable mentions of games that maybe weren't just good enough to make it into my top 10 picks, but I still feel needed to have some recognition. In addition, it was kind of tough this year to tell, gee, what's considered a game that was out in 2014 or wasn't, especially with a lot of the episodic games that we had, but I did my personal best to pick the right one. So without further ado, fanfare, hoopla, celebration in effect, ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. It's DSP's Game of the Year Awards, the top 10 best games of 2014. Honorable mention, Wolfenstein: The New Order. Now, this is a game that probably a lot of people either overlooked or completely forgot about, but I personally really enjoyed Wolfenstein: The New Order. Being able to return to this tried and true classic FPS universe, the what-if scenario if the Nazis had some kind of crazy technology and were actually able to win World War II, the fact that this particular game had outstanding graphics on the next gen of consoles and also featured a critical plot choice that allowed you to change a few things about the game and actually added replayability, and one really sweet Easter egg that actually had gameplay from the original Wolfenstein 3D. If you're a fan of first-person shooters, you're a fan of this kind of carnage, and if you especially like the Wolfenstein games previous to this one, you're absolutely going to love The New Order. I actually wish that more people actually had checked it out. I really didn't even hear too many people talking about it after it had been released. I thought it was personally one of my favorite games of the year. Definitely check it out. Didn't make the top 10, but obviously still worth your time. Now on to our first official entry in my top 10 best games of the year. It's Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright. One of my longest running playthroughs of 2014 and actually my first official playthrough for the Nintendo 3DS, Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright was the perfect combination of gameplay from two completely different universes. Now at first you might say, seems like it might be a weird match considering that Professor Layton is more about puzzle solving and detective work, while Phoenix Wright is more about looking around for clues and, of course, the classic courtroom objectionable gameplay. However, even though the art styles clash, the game came together in a unique supernatural story that piqued my interest. Now, admittedly, there are parts in this game that drag on way too long, and in fact, a full playthrough of this game can take upwards of 20 plus hours. But for the fact that this is the first time these two universes has been thrown together, it was made semi-plausible, the graphics, the music, the voice acting, yes, actually one of the very first official games in the series to have semi-voice acting. It doesn't have full voice acting, but it does have some. I really enjoyed this game. If this is one that you missed this past year because you thought, oh, this will just be a cheap cash-in or a way to slam two popular universes together, you really missed out. In fact, the really only complaint that I have is that I'd say the puzzles for the Professor Layton portions were a little bit on the easy side and almost never really challenged or confused me. But outside of that, the game is great. You definitely want to check it out, and it has a very nice settled spot at number 10 on my best games of 2014. Up next on the countdown, a well-known and respected game developer comes out with something different. Some liked it, some didn't. It actually was good enough to end up in my top 10. Check it out.